Okay, hello friends, welcome back. Today we're going to do about the triangle project. So I'm going to actually use my text editor to open this one. So about triangle project is this guy here. So if I click here, you'll see that we open up this file. Now this is interesting. They have a required dot triangle. So what does this do? This, you need to write the triangle methods in the file .triangle.rb. So I can close this file because we already completed it. So we want to find the file triangle.rb. And so we can see that it's required, this dot / shows that it's required within the same folder in which it exists. And so if we scroll down, we should see triangle down here at the bottom. So it's the last one. So I just double, oh, you know what? I want to open this one. And I also want to open this guy. So I'm just going to go open here. I've got my text editor to set to overlap. So here's our test projects, and then here I'm going to actually click over to triangle and I'm going to drag this down to here, and in Atom you can do it like this. You could just have them in separate windows if you want as well. And now I'm just going to hide the tree view so that we can just see what's going on here. Now here this error is saying that we expected equilateral to equal nil, so we're returning nil despite the fact that we want equilateral here. So this is coming from line 8. And so in our file, we'll see line 8, we expect equilateral to equal that, but triangle, which is this method, and this method is being brought in by the require message. So triangle should render out to equilateral. So the way that we could make this pass quite easily right now, all we need to do is say, just return equilateral. And if we save that and we run our rake command, we'll see that we've passed 2 of these tests, right? Because we're just always returning equilateral. But that causes a problem because what we're expected to return isosceles on line 13. So we come down to here on line 13. Well, we can't pass equilateral because we're passed in these different parameters. So A, B, and C were equal to 3, 4, and 4. So what we could do is we should just say return equilateral if, well actually let's do it this way first and then we'll redo it later. I'm just going to say if A is equal to B and B is equal to C and A is equal to C, then we can return equilateral. Else, and I'm just going to keep them indented, and I'm going to type the end in there. Else, we can just return isosceles. Cool. So now if I were to save this, even though I know it's not going to work right now, it's going to work for our next tests to pass. So we can just run this as a rake command again. And so here we're failing on line 20. So we're line 20 down here. Okay, well, what about, how do we make it work? Yeah, so if it's equilateral, then we return equilateral, and then so we can say else if, we can make it in parentheses, if A is equal to B and A is equal to C. Well, here, what do we have? A is not equal to B, but B is equal to C. So if A is equal to B and A is equal to C, so if, where's an example of that? Here, A is equal to, oh, okay, so this could get kind of crazy. But first off, let's just start with the first one. So if B is equal to C, no, yeah. So what we could do is think about it backwards. If A is equal to B, if A is equal to B, or if here's A is equal to B, and then here is A is equal to B as well, and here is A is equal to C, if A is equal to C, or if B is equal to C, right? So here B is equal to C. That gives us the situation in which we're testing to see that. And so then we return isosceles, and then we can say else we can return scaling, which means that neither A, B, or C are equal. So we could save this and we could run our rake task again. I think that would actually pass it. Cool, so we're in about exceptions. So, yeah, I mean, that's one way to do this one. One way we could clean this up using the inline statements is we could say if equilateral, so if all of these are true, then we return equilateral. And we could also say if any of these are true, we can say isosceles, or we could return scaling. This would be a way to refactor our Ruby code. And I do think that this looks cleaner and faster. If we were to rake that, it doesn't do the same thing. About triangle project breaks on 8. If a, I think we might need to put these in parameters here. Save that. 152. Huh. If A is equal to B and B is equal to C and A is equal to C. Oh, maybe we have to do return statements here. So now we're on about triangle line 13. So yeah, it looks like we do have to put return statements in if we want to make them like that. Yeah, so about exceptions. We're on the next one now. So this would be a way to clean it up a little bit. Yeah, you could reverse the logic if you wanted to. You could find out if A is not equal to B and B is not equal to C and C is not equal to A. That would return scaling, and then isosceles would be the opposite. That would be any way that you wanted to do it. I just refactored it here in the hopes to support a little bit. Let me know if you found any faster, cooler ways to do this. And thank you guys for watching. Yeah, we're ready to do the about exceptions path in the next one, so we're good with the about triangle for the first one. We don't have to do anything here, and so we can close the triangle project for now. Hope you guys enjoy this one. We'll see you in the next lesson.